Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is my review of the Polyend tracker, and this is a device I sort of kind of slept on for a while. Didn't really take it too serious. It was a tracker. I was like, cool, tracking software, and I never got into tracking software early on. But tracking software is sort of a format for making music that's been around for a very long time. I grew up on Commodore 64 music and games and Atari 26. I was exposed to video games at a very young age and exposed to video game music at a very young age. And basically, what this does is that it enables you to code your music in. That's the best way I could put it. It's like your program. It's like a computer. It's a music computer. We don't have a fancy touch screen. Of course, had the temptation of touching the screen, but what you can do, every line that you put in, you can tell it to do different notes, different sounds. You have 8 tracks. You have only 8 tracks, and each one of these lines of code, if you will, program different notes. So in the instance right here, you can see that there's a note. All the notes are in green. The key that you will play in the MIDI keyboard, all the notes are in green. All the instruments or samples that you use is in yellow, and the effects that you can put on the notes are in pink and turquoise, right? And of course, you can change these patterns. You can make these patterns 64 up to I think 128 or something like that, and then you can link these things together. So this is a really cool device, and but the thing is like it's hard for me to make a conclusion on a device without really sitting down with one. Like I can do opinions on one, and sometimes I do that too as well. But to be able to really sit down with this and enjoy it was really cool, and I like it because it's a whole different approach. You may see me most of the time using the MPC now. If you've been on the channel in the past, you saw me use it with use FL Studio. Even there was one time I was using Reason. You might have saw that on there. But this is something totally different because you can get down to the actual note and really control. Now, I'll be honest with you. This is a situation where I'll compare it to the MPC. And you know what? Before I even do that, I'm going to play something for you that I made on this thing. And I thought it was pretty cool. So let me play that for you right now. So as you can see, it can get really in depth with it. You can really have a lot of fun with it, and working with it has sort of kind of opened up a new language to me as far as creating music. Like I've been exposed to trackers before. Like there's plenty on the computer. You can do it on your phone, and I never really quite gravitated to it because I was so spoiled with today's sequencers, FL Studio. It was just so much going on. Machine. And see, there's so much that you could do, but the limitations that I see here visually make me focus more on what it sounds like. And that's why I kind of like working on the MPC in standalone mode sometimes, because it forces you to be creative. Like we only got 8 tracks here. You can't keep adding tracks, adding tracks, adding tracks. You only got 8, right? And then on top of that, you can only load up 48 samples. You can slice these samples and use different parts of that, but it really starts to create a different language in your mind on how to create. And then on top of that, every single note, you can tell notes to cut off, fade, pitch up, pitch down, put LFOs on it on each individual note. And then you can also do these roll triggers. Now, in the situation with this, I can do a roll now and ratcheting on the MPC. You couldn't do that before, but you can do ratcheting on steps. So on the MPC world, it's ratcheting. But then on the Polyend, you got rolls. And then things that I wish that the MPC would integrate into it, like on the rolls, you can tell how many times you want it to roll in a step. And then you can tell that thing to roll up or roll down or roll like a volume coming up or down. I mean, there's all kinds of effects that you can do on this thing. The arpeggiators, the SID chip chord, pseudo chord thing, you can do all that on there. Pan your sounds, it has a nice reverb and delay block on there that can bounce back and forth. And you know, that limitation makes me say, And then a cool thing is, yeah, it's mad portable, it's fun. You know, and I don't come from a purely tracker standard, but I appreciate it, and it inspires me to do more electronic music, because as you can see, I kind of made like a video game soundtrack, and it's very easy to kind of go nostalgia with that. On the MPC, sometimes I feel like trying to do like a nostalgic style, like a video game type of beat, it's a little bit more work into it because you have to play. And these notes you program it, and I'm very tempted. And I'm trying to use just the box by itself. I'm trying to use the box just by itself so that I don't hook up my MIDI controller and play notes in. Because as a musician, I like to play my stuff in. So having the ability to do both is just really cool. And just the limitation just makes you really think differently. Because on the MPC, as you can see, I got analog synthesizers, plugins. You got this whole world, universe of sounds, plugins, possibilities, all those different things. But inside the tracker, the only way you're going to get that is that you got to sample it and put it in. And another thing is that it forces me to be much more selective with the samples I use. Whereas on the MPC, if I select the sample, I'll just drag in another sample. I'll just drag in another sample. I'll just drag in another sample. And then you got like this big old drum program of all these samples. And it's like, you know, and you still create good music with it, you know. However, in here, you have to be much more selective, and you have to work with what you got more. But I think that breeds a certain creativity to it. And everything in here isn't so robotic. You can shift time in here if you want to. You can make your drums loose. I mean, you can go lo-fi with this thing, hip hop. I'm interested in trying to do R&B with it, but I probably wouldn't do R&B in the traditional sense that I would on the MPC, because it breeds a whole different type of vibe, programming your music in that way versus playing out live or hitting the pads. So I've been having really a lot of fun with it. I didn't think I was really going to get into it much from what I've seen, but when I was able to sit down and experiment with the notes and the effects, it was rewarding. And then when you're programming, it's like, it's not quite right, but then when you finally program it and get it to the right thing you want, it's like a very pleasing and rewarding experience. And then just seeing what it does with the samples, looking at the tutorials and trying more things with the samples. And it's really a journey in a box. It's like a new book. Like I got the MPC and I've read that book. I feel like I've read that book forward and backwards. And, you know, it's definitely not going to replace it. But sometimes when you want to go out in the field, and yes, I got an MPC Live, I can go out in the field with it. But just sitting down with it, thinking about it, going to the tracks, playing on it, is a lot of fun. So definitely it's a fun device, and I think the more time you take with it, the more rewarding it will be. It does have its limitations, but inside of those limitations breeds a different form of mindset and language. So it's like when you learn a new language. When you learn a new language, you think differently about how you speak and how you see the world. Same thing with programming. So like ideas that I come up with here on the Polyend tracker, I may transfer to see if I can do it or find another way to do it on MPC One, right? So those are my first thoughts. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this channel. This is Delio giving you my first thoughts review of the Polyend tracker. It's a lot of fun. I'm probably going to do some more videos on this and do some tutorials on it because it's a lot of fun. All right, I'll see y'all guys later. Peace out.